Marcus Hall had been through wars, lost brothers in arms, and carried the invisible scars of battle. But nothing prepared him for quiet war he'd face at his own son's high school graduation. What would you do if you walked into a room where you belonged, earned your right to be there, and still, everyone looked at you like you were trespassing? I want you to stay with me till the end of this video, because what happens later will shake you. If you think you've heard powerful stories about racism and redemption, this one will leave you stunned. And if you're enjoying the story so far, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because I promise, this isn't a story you want to miss. Also, tell me in the comments where in the world you're watching from. I love seeing support coming from every corner of the globe. Now let's get in. Marcus Hall didn't walk like a man trying to impress anyone. He walked like a man who had already earned his stripes and didn't need to prove it to anyone anymore. He arrived early, real early, the kind of early only military folks understand. There's something about service that teaches you the value of being ahead of time, not just on time. He had ironed his dress uniform himself that morning, every crease sharp, every metal exactly where it was supposed to be. His boots, though not new, gleamed like polished obsidian. You could almost see your reflection in them. And before anyone says, well, why was he wearing his full uniform? Ask yourself, why not? This was his only son's high school graduation. Jordan Hall, top of his class, first in the family to be accepted into an Ivy League school, captain of the debate team, clean record, bright future. Everything Marcus had hoped for during sleepless nights in barracks thousands of miles from home. Let me ask you something. If you had nearly died serving a country that didn't always love you back, wouldn't you show up to your son's big day looking like everything you fought for? Yeah, me too. So when Marcus walked into the auditorium that morning, he wasn't just a proud father. He was a visible one. And visibility, my friends, makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Some smiled politely, some nodded, but a few gave him that look. You know the one. That tight-lipped glance that lasts just a second too long. That little squint of curiosity mixed with judgment. That whisper between couples kind of stare. Yeah, that look. Have you ever felt eyes on you for simply existing? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your story. Anyway, Marcus wasn't there for stares. He walked straight down to the front section, pulled out his program, and found the bold print, reserved, family at Jordan Hall. Row A, third seat in. He sat down back straight, hands folded. He exhaled slowly. All those years of being away, all those phone calls he had to take from foreign soil, missing birthdays, games, spelling bees. But not today. Today he was here, fully present. No camouflage, no helmet, just a father, a proud one. Let me ask you something real quick. When was the last time you saw a black military veteran sitting in a place of honor and no one questioned it? Think about it. Why is that still so rare? But just as Marcus adjusted his cap and looked toward the stage, waiting for that music to start, waiting to see Jordan in his gown, he felt it, that shift, that cold chill of being noticed not with respect, but with suspicion. You ever felt that? Like the air in the room suddenly changed because someone somewhere decided you don't belong here? If you have, write heartbreak in the comments, because this next part, it's going to hit hard. Two men, private security, not police, not military. Just the kind of guys that wear badges clipped to their belts and think authority means control. They didn't come loud. Oh no, that's the thing. They came quiet, like snakes in tall grass. Excuse me, sir, one of them said, crouching slightly. Can we have a quick word? Marcus turned slowly, calmly. Everything all right? The taller one leaned in. Just a quick seat check. We've had a couple concerns from folks nearby about your presence in this section. Now pause. What does that even mean? Concerns about your presence? He pulled the program out again, showed the printed seating. This is my son's seat. This is where I was asked to sit. The other guard gave that sideways look, like he didn't care what was printed. Yeah, we see that. Just, would you mind moving to the general seating section? It would help us de-escalate any issues. De-escalate? Marcus blinked slowly. Have I escalated anything? No, sir, it's just... Then why are you asking me to move? Silence. I'm going to ask you something now, because this is where the story starts to crack open. Why do some people only feel safe when certain people are out of sight? The audacity to ask a decorated Marine to leave his assigned seat on his son's graduation day because other people were concerned. That's not security protocol. That's racism hiding behind a clipboard. But let me be clear, Marcus didn't shout. He didn't raise a fist. He didn't cause a scene. He simply said, "I serve this country. I wore this uniform so my son could walk across that stage knowing his father stood tall. I won't be moved because someone else feels small in my presence." Now, before we go on, if this story has you feeling something right now, subscribe. Seriously, because this channel is about stories that matter. Stories that expose injustice, that remind us of dignity, that demand respect. And if you believe this shouldn't have happened to Marcus, then stay with me. Because what happened next, well, it shook the room. And just so you know, this was only the beginning. Marcus didn't know it yet, but 6 men he hadn't seen in years, were about to rise behind him. Men who carried scars just like his, who knew exactly what he stood for, who weren't about to let this play out like just another quiet moment of discrimination. But we'll get to that in the next chapter. For now, I want you to ask yourself something. If standing tall makes others uncomfortable, is it your job to shrink? Spoiler alert, it's not. Now, don't forget to drop your country in the comments. I want to see where y'all are watching from. And remember, if you think that was intense, wait till you hear what happened when the guards tried to enforce that request. You ever been stared at like your very presence was a problem? Like just sitting there, quietly, somehow disrupted the natural order of things? Why were they still standing there? They'd asked him to move. He'd said no, politely, calmly, but they hadn't walked away. They were waiting, watching, as if they were waiting for backup, or waiting for Marcus to slip, to flinch, to give them a reason. Now, let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. Why do some people get second chances, while others are treated like a threat before they even speak? If you're feeling that, do me a favor, subscribe right now, because the story you're watching is a mirror, a reflection of what too many people go through in silence. But today, we're not staying silent. Now back to Marcus. He adjusted the brim of his hat and stared straight ahead at the stage. The ceremony was moments away from beginning. Families filled the auditorium. Laughter floated through the air. Phones were out, smiles wide. But row A seat 3, it felt like ground zero. You could feel it, that pressure building, that invisible weight of injustice, just sitting on his shoulders. And then it happened. One of the guards leaned forward again. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you." Before he could finish, a voice from behind cut through the tension like a blade. "Is there a problem here?" The guards turned, and what they saw made them straighten up like schoolboys caught doing something wrong. There stood a man, tall, broad, clean-shaven, wearing a suit, and behind him, 5 others, each with the quiet confidence of men who'd seen things no civilian could understand. Men who walked like they once run toward gunfire. One of them stepped forward. Marcus looked over. His eyes widened. "No way. Danny McKenzie, Navy SEAL, retired. The same man who once pulled Marcus from enemy fire in the middle of a desert night. And the 5 men behind him, also SEALs, also veterans, also brothers. What are the odds that 6 of Marcus's old unit members were sitting 5 rows back? Let me ask you right now, coincidence or fate? Tell me in the comments what you believe. Because in this moment, it felt like the universe stood still. Danny looked at the guards. "He's with us." The guards glanced at each other. One stuttered. "Well, some attendees were uncomfortable and..." Danny raised a hand. "You made them uncomfortable by asking a decorated Marine to move from his assigned seat on his son's graduation day." Let that sink in. A man who had worn a uniform with honor, humiliated, questioned, in front of strangers, in front of his son, on a day that was supposed to be about pride. Why does this keep happening? If this story is hitting you right now, if you're feeling something tight in your chest, Pause for a second and smash that like button, because stories like this need to be heard. And we're just getting started. Now back to the room. People were watching. Oh, they were watching now. The tension wasn't quiet anymore. It was loud. Whispers. Phones recording. All eyes on the front row. Danny stepped forward. If you're going to remove Marcus, you'll have to remove all 6 of us. The guards looked shaken. They hadn't expected that. Sir, we're just following instructions, one mumbled. Danny asked, whose instructions? Silence. You know what that means, right? There were no instructions, just assumptions. Someone saw a proud black man in uniform and assumed he didn't belong. That's all it took. Let me ask you again, how many doors have been closed on people, not because of their actions, but because of their skin? And how many more times will this happen before it stops? Now listen, if you're watching this and you believe this is more than just a story, that this is real life for too many people, hit that subscribe button. Stay with us, because what happens next? You will not believe it. The guards hesitated, looked at each other. Then finally, one muttered, "We'll verify the seating with the coordinator." And just like that, they walked away. No apology, no accountability, just retreat. But the moment wasn't over, not by a long shot. Because when Marcus turned around to thank his old brothers in arms, something powerful happened. One by one, each of the 6 men lifted 2 fingers to their brow in a salute, a silent gesture, a message that echoed louder than words. Marcus saluted back. And let me tell you something. You could feel the air shift in that auditorium. Not from fear this time, but from respect. You ever seen dignity restore a man's presence after someone tried to erase it? Because that's what we just witnessed. And if you're still watching, thank you, because your attention matters. This isn't fiction. This is reality shaped into a story. And the ending? Oh, you won't believe how this wraps up. And remember, drop your flag in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. Because unity starts with understanding. Because the moment Jordan sees what happened to his father, everything changes. Jordan Emmanuel Hall. The name echoed across the auditorium like a bell struck in still air. A pause, then a burst of applause, waves of it, building from polite claps to standing ovations. Cheers came from every corner of the room. Proud families stood. Some held phones up, others just held back tears. But in the center aisle, Marcus Hall didn't move much. He clapped slowly, firmly, not like the others. There was no yelling, no raised hands, no wide smile stretched across his face. Just a man standing tall, back straight, emotions tucked beneath a stare that ran deeper than applause could reach. Jordan walked onto the stage with precision, not arrogance, intent. His steps were calm, his hands steady. But when he reached the middle of the platform, he didn't turn to shake anyone's hand. He didn't glance at the crowd for cameras or validation. He looked hard, and saw his father. Not seated, not smiling, but upright, surrounded. 6 men stood like pillars around Marcus. Quiet, composed, eyes like steel. Jordan didn't need to ask who they were. The bearing, the posture, the silence, they were SEALs. Not in uniform, but unmistakable. 2 security guards lingered off to the side, pretending to be occupied with something on the floor. But the guilt hung on their backs like heavy coats. The confrontation from earlier hadn't gone unnoticed. Even without a scene, truth has a way of traveling. Jordan's jaw tightened slightly. Then he did something no one expected. He stepped off the stage. Instead of returning to his row of polished graduates, he walked directly into the crowd, straight toward his father. Not rushing, just moving like someone who had finally stopped pretending everything was fine. He walked into Marcus's arms and hugged him. It wasn't one of those quick, camera-friendly embraces. It was firm, still, a son holding the roots that raise him, a father embracing the proof that sacrifice wasn't in vain. You ever witness a moment so personal it silences an entire room? Jordan pulled back slightly and turned to face the 6 men. His voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the murmurs. "Thank you," he said, glancing around them, "for having his back." Danny, one of the SEALs, gave a simple nod. "Always." Another added, "We don't leave our own standing alone." And that's when Jordan turned, not just to them, but to the rows and rows of watching eyes. "This man right here," he said, gesturing to Marcus, "taught me what honor really looks like. Not medals, not recognition, but this, standing tall when the world hopes you'll shrink." Silence. People were watching now, not with polite curiosity, but with still, raw attention. Something had shifted. The speech they hadn't expected was the only thing worth hearing. Jordan raised a certificate in his hand. "I earned this." "Sure, but don't get it twisted. He made it possible." If you've ever had someone in your life whose strength became the soil for your growth, drop their name in the comments right now. Give them their flowers. Don't wait until the moment has passed. And if this is hitting you somewhere deep, do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Stories like this aren't just entertainment. They're reflection. They're truth wrapped in skin and struggle. A few people started clapping. Then more joined. Then the whole row stood up. Marcus hadn't moved, but his eyes, they glistened just enough to betray what his body refused to say. Jordan leaned close and whispered, "What happened?" Marcus didn't respond at first, just breathed. "They said I was making people uncomfortable," he finally said, so quietly only his son could hear. Standing proud made someone nervous, apparently. Jordan closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them, calm but sharp. "For existing?" Marcus chuckled softly. "Looks like." Jordan stood back up straight, looked at the crowd, then raised his voice, not yelling, but letting every syllable strike with intention. "Black fathers don't get enough moments like this. We're either invisible or labeled a threat. But today, y'all gonna see this man." He didn't shout. He didn't perform. He declared. That's a different kind of strength. So let me ask you something. How many fathers like Marcus Hall never get to be seen? How many sons swallow the silence instead of speaking up? If you're still watching, stay tuned. You won't believe what happens next. Because what's coming? Nobody saw it coming. After the crowd settled, the ceremony continued, but the energy had shifted. And back in his seat, Marcus sat quiet, still surrounded, not just by seals anymore, but by respect. Not the kind that comes from loud applause, but the kind that comes when truth enters a room and doesn't leave quietly. And if this story is moving you, like, subscribe, and make sure that notification bell is on, because what happens next might just break your heart and heal it all at once. The auditorium had returned to its routine, names being called, applause echoing, but for Marcus Hall, time had slowed. The earlier incident lingered in his mind, a stark reminder of the battles fought beyond the battlefield. Jordan, now seated beside his father, leaned in. "Dad, what happened earlier?" Marcus sighed, the weight of years evident in his eyes. "Just a reminder that some battles never end." Jordan nodded, understanding the unspoken words. "But today we stood together." Marcus looked at his son, pride shining through. Always. As the ceremony concluded, the crowd began to disperse. Families reunited, laughter filled the air, and photographs captured moments of joy. Amidst the celebration, a young cadet approached Marcus and Jordan. "Mr. Hall," he began hesitantly, "I saw what happened earlier. I just wanted to say thank you for your service and for standing tall." Marcus extended his hand, a firm grip meeting the cadets. "Thank you, son. Remember, integrity isn't just a word, it's a way of life." Jordan smiled, witnessing the ripple effect of his father's steadfastness. Now, to everyone watching and listening, have you ever witnessed a moment where silent strength spoke louder than words? Share your experiences in the comments below. And if this story resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Let's spread stories that matter. As they exited the auditorium, the sun cast a golden hue, symbolizing new beginnings. Marcus and Jordan walked side by side, their footsteps in sync, a testament to legacy and resilience. In the parking lot, a group of veterans waited, forming a line. One by one, they saluted Marcus, a gesture of respect and solidarity. Tears welled up in Marcus's eyes, emotions he rarely displayed. "Thank you," he whispered, voice thick with emotion. Jordan placed a hand on his father's shoulder. Your story matters, Dad. It's time the world hears it. If this story moved you, stay tuned. More tales of courage, honor, and resilience are on the horizon. Stories that need to be heard, voices that need to be amplified. Remember, every story has the power to inspire. Let's continue to share them.